Hello, back for another installment of MoveWell. I have 3 more exercises for you today, so just give me a second to set up and we'll get to it. Alright, our first exercise today is a side plank. Very common exercise. Most of you have done this one before, probably do it pretty frequently in your own workouts, certainly a lot of the classes that we do here. It's a staple. A couple things I want to go over really quick so you get the most out of it, keep stress off your shoulder, is starting with the setup and keeping our shoulders up nice and tall. And I'll tell you what I mean by that. What we're going to do is set up so elbow is directly underneath our shoulder. The other thing too is you can start where elbow, if you draw a straight line across, is in line with your knees. Now as far as our shoulder, we want to keep it up nice and tall. You can get a little bit better angle so you can see that. So we're going to be up nice and tall. A lot of times I see people, especially if you hold it for too long of an interval, you start to fatigue. The next thing you know, you're kind of hanging off your shoulder. That could put a lot of stress on all the soft tissue and muscle around your shoulder joint. So when you set up, think about pressing your palm into the floor, forearm into the floor, as well as your elbow, keeping up nice and tall. All right. Once we have that, we're going to kind of keep our chin gently tucked in. Several different ways we can modify and progress this exercise. I'm going to start with kind of a basic form where we're going to keep our legs stacked, both knees bent. We're going to set up, push away from the ground, and I'm going to lift my hips up off the ground and push them forward towards the camera. It'll look like this. All right? And once I'm in this position, I'm just going to hold it for, I like to hold for a number of breaths. So we're going to start with 5 full breath cycles. That would be 1. Do 4 more before we switch sides. Let me just show you another angle so you can get an idea of how we want to keep our body in alignment when we're doing this. So again, we're going to set up nice and tall at the shoulder, and then here, tuck in that chin, we have a nice straight line, right shoulder, hip, and knee, and we're just focusing on breathing as we push the bottom arm into the ground, holding it nice and tall. Again, I would start with about 5 full breath holds per side. We're going to do about 3 or 4 rounds of this. I'll be back in just a second with exercise number 2. Our second exercise in today's circuit is going to be a little hip mobility drill. Specifically, we're going to work on our internal rotation of our back leg and our external rotation in our front leg. Essentially what that translates to, these inner thigh muscles here on the back side, and your outer hip or backside muscles on this front side here, and then we're going to do both. So how we're going to set this one up, we're going to get about 90 degrees at the front knee, 90 degrees at that front hip. All right, do your best to try to keep this knee down on the ground or as close to it as pain-free, of course. Then we're going to get set up the same way in the back. I'm going to keep, I think about having my front ankle in a straight line through my knee and my back ankle, or back ankle rather, 90 degrees at the back knee and hip. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to up nice and tall. If you can hold yourself up, that's great. If you need to push into the ground with both hands. And then from here, what we're going to do is bending at our hips, not at our spine. We're going to come forward as far as we can, hinging at those hips. Do a full inhale, exhale. And then we're going to come back, pressing this back leg into the ground. Bring this hand back, big inhale, exhale. And then what we'll do is we'll set up and do the same thing on the other side. Then what you want to do with these is making sure that you're getting both the front and the back knee as close to touching the ground as you can. Having your torso as upright as possible. For some of you this will be pretty easy. Others it'll be a challenge. So just do what you can. You can support yourself with Hands on the ground. And again, up nice and tall. Think about bringing your chest towards that front leg, bending through the hips. Do that full breath. So when you do this, you should feel a nice stretch in the outer hip of this front side. And now we're going to take our hand, bring it back. Again, push both knees into the ground. Nice big inhale. Exhale. And here you'll feel a little bit more of a stretch right up into the inside of this back leg. So what I would do is full inhale and exhale in both positions per side. Do that about 3 or 4 times, and then move on to the next exercise, which I'll show you in just a second. With the final exercise of today's workout, we call these pistons or wall pistons. Essentially what we're going to work are strengthening those muscles at the front of the hip, those muscles that allow us to do this movement right here. So we're going to set up against a wall, and basically we're going to hold each repetition anywhere from 3 to 5 seconds, and we're going to do 3 to 5 repetitions per side, alternating each rep. It's going to look like this. Think about pushing away from the wall. All right. Exhale till you feel those tummy muscles. Again, we want to make sure we're working on that brace, keeping the movement out of our spine and focusing the movement on our hips. From here, we're going to come up, bring one knee up as high as we can, moving through the hips, making sure we're not feeling it in our lower back. Opposite leg, we can push up onto our toes and hold 2, 3, 4, 5. Switch sides, drive up. Again, through the hips, making sure you're not feeling it in that low back. Hold 2, 3, 4, 5. So again, 3 to 5 repetitions per side, holding each rep for 3 to 5 seconds. Give it a try and have some fun.